Well, welcome and thank you for your patience and your persistence. And here we are, writing Space Invaders using MONOGAME and getting it looking good. Okay, so as I said in the last video, we are going to do the invaders. So I'm going to put the code in here for this video, and then we'll sort the code out and create a game manager, which I have mentioned before. But let's just get stuck in now. All right, so we'll keeping most of this will be in this file. So as we've done our groundwork, I think there's enough for us to get going. So in the drawer, we want to get rid of a lot of this, I think. So let's just run this. So what have we got on our screen? We have our screen. We've got big chunky invader up here. We have our classic Space Invaders. I'll leave this on for now. We want to get rid of these primitives and this little block here and these for sure. Okay, so let's just do that. All right, so our block first, I am going to get rid of. We don't need these ones. These look like our little invaders and our big invader, so we can get rid of them. We have our sprites, which we can draw, and we've got our font. So that's basically it. That looks a lot better. So let's have a look. Lovely, that's a lot neater. Okay, so now, as I said, I'm going to have them frames, but have them fixed position with no speed, if that makes sense. And looking at these, I will go for, let's try 10, or yeah, we'll try 10 and we'll see. 10, so it's 10 invaders along, and we'll go 5 deep. We'll have a look, see what that looks like. All right, so I'm going to put this in a function. So let's see. So I'm going to write the function first. So we're going to have this in another region. This is going to be private to this one. So it's region, tab, and then it will be private functionality. Okay, so in here we know it's private, so we do private void, and I'm going to do set up sprite invaders. Okay, we'll just call it that. Don't need to pass any parameters in for the moment, and that's it. So I'm going to put a comment on this one, and it's going to be invader sprites for set invader sprite setup. Set up the invader sprites for starting the game. Oh, well, I can't say starting the game. Lovely. And we will then go. Okay, so what do we need? Let's write down what we need. We want to have a starting position. Have a starting position. And also we will need a reference start frame for our invaders. This means we will need to create all our sprites as invader sprites. Add an animation, add animations, So we don't know what to do after that. So this is what we need. So we need a starting position. So I'm going to have that as a vector 2, just makes life very much easy. So I'll do vector 2. Let's do invader pods equals new vector 2, and I'm going to start that as so let's do, because we have got our font at the beginning, so I'm going to start it at 50 down but 20 in. So I'm going to do 20x. So if we do 20 float and we do 50 float for the y. Okay, lovely. We can do that after our comments. We also need a start frame. So I'm going to do an int 32. Int 32. Oh. Int 32. We might need to add. Yeah. Oh. I've got parallax error with my system. Okay, so that allows us to use our int 32. Lovely. And we are going to make that. So we're going to do that sprite start frame, and that equals 0. And our new invaders, that position there. Lovely. Right. So at this point, we need to set up our invaders. So I'm going to copy the code for one invader. We're going to develop this from inside out. It will make sense when you see it, because there's two ways of writing it. You could write it so you cover all the x positions, all the y positions, and then you do the creation within 2 for loops. But I am going to do one and build the for loops around that code, if this makes sense. I'm sure it will. So where we have our invaders, so we need going to copy this. So that's all. Yeah, this is all we need here. And go down to our function here, and I'm just going to plonk it here for now. I'm going to move it in a couple. The other way, sorry. So that's highlighting, and press tab will indent in, shift tab will indent to the right or to the left, depending on shift. Shift to the right, normal tab will go to the left. I've got it the wrong way around, haven't I? Because I'm looking at the screen, assuming you're looking at it differently. All right, so highlight, tab will go to the right, shift tab go to the left. Oh my God. All right, so this will create a sprite, but unfortunately it's at a fixed position. And there's a new rect, and we set up the frames. Okay. And we're going to do something slightly different here when I get it around. So, okay, so what we need to do is change our new vector here to be, yeah, wait for it, invader position. Lovely. So this means that our sprites at the moment, our first sprite will be created at 2050. It's going to be light blue, scaled right. I think it scales perfectly. Everything else looks good, and the speed of -1. But we're going to set the speed to 0. We don't want it to get moving at the moment. All right, so it's that done. But basically, when you start a game of invaders, the invaders don't move initially, and then they start. So you get the and they go boom, 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 and they start moving across the screen. Lovely. So we've got that one. What we need though, we need a sprite, because we need to create it. And I'm going to change this one for now, and I'm just going to call it sprite. Okay, just makes it nice and easy. Alrighty, and we are then going to add that there, and we've got our invader sprite. Oh, this needs to be sprite. Oh, look at that, it's perfect disorder, and that needs to be sprite. Okay, and then we need to change this one to sprite. Lovely. So, alright, that doesn't need to be sprite, it needs to be invader sprite. I'm just wondering why there's no anim to it. Lovely. Set anim, so that's a rect. So we need to do, oh, invader frames. Sorry, deleted too much. Alright, I'll quickly go over that again. So I've created a sprite, so we're not using our invader sprite, so I've got a new capital I, so it's a class, and we're calling it Spr, and that is a new invader sprite, new sprite, blah blah. So that's good. We've still got our invader frames, which are here, and then we've got our Spr, which are invader sprite. We're setting the anim with our invader frames, and that's the speed, and we're setting it to true. And the true, does that indicate the direction? Let's have a look to see. Loop, so it will loop. It will, yeah, effectively loop as it goes along, because we want it to loop. We want it to go with initial delay. Lovely. Looking good so far. So at the moment, our function only does one sprite. We one invader. We want quite a few invaders. Now I've mentioned we need them to go across, and we also need them to go down. So this is where we're going to need a for loop. So I'm going to cut these in here, and I'm going to put this in brackets here. Oh. There, so they're catered in brackets, and in this one I'm going to do a for, and I'm going to use a float. For float, we're going to do xpos position, so it's fxpos equals, and our things start at 20, so I'm going to do 20 rf, and we are going to make 10 of them. So, and they're going to be added 20 to them. So they will end. So this is, yeah. There's a nasty way of doing this, and there's a nice way. So I'm going to just redo this a little bit differently. So we've got all of that already set up. So I'm going to do a int 32, and then we're going to do int xpos equals, I've done a little n there just so we don't get confused. And then we want to set that to 0, because what we want to do is increment through our invader count. So then do n xpos is less than 20. And then we want to increment our n xpos. Lovely. We don't need semicolon there, sorry. So that is our loop. Increment it. I knew there was something I need to do. Alright. So that's our xpos. We now want to do our ypos. So let's just sort this out by moving that there, that one there, and we need our ypos, but we need it to be 5. So xypos going down, and xypos is less than 5. And xypos like that. Lovely. So we have our x and y position, and then we have our invaders that are being created, that will create at the moment. God, make that 10. Sorry, make that 10. So we've got 10 across. So we've got a 10 by 5 grid of invaders, 50 invaders in total. Lovely. And they will be at the same position at the moment, which is 2050. So what we could do is, yeah, there's a nice way of doing this. So I'm going to, because we want to change only after. So all right then. So this is how we'll do it. So it looks quite neat. At the end here, we want to reposition our X position. So it's inverse pos X equals, so we've got 20.f times, where did you get that from? 20.0f times, and we'll put these in brackets. Bear with me on this. So we do nx pos, and we times that by our width. Now our sprites are 14, so I'm going to go 20. Let's go, no, we do 18. So that times 18, and we'll put a semicolon on the end. So let's have a look. So what have we done? So we've now changed our X position. We could add to our X position 18, but I think this way will always, no matter how we call it, we'll always get what we want out of it. We need a starting position and our position within where we are in our count times 18. So if we were at position 0, it'll be at 20. And if we were then looping around again, it'll be at 38, and then 56, and so on and so on until it gets to the end. Lovely. So we don't need to reset Xpos. It's all handled in that one line. Okay? Because with our looping, if we just add 18 to our Xpos and then do the Y, it will effectively, our in pos X will increment, it will just go across and it'll go off screen. It won't reset. It needs to reset to the starting position. So we need a similar thing here for our Y position. So if I do this, Y, and that will be 50 times NY plus, it's not going to be 18, I'm going to say 16. Okay, so it's just guesses, we can just see. So this will increase on the next loop round, increase our Y position, and then start the draw again. Okay, so I think this might work. We haven't set the frame yet, so that's why we're getting a little green line across there, because it's not been used. It's signs, but it's never used. So we'll sort that out in a minute. We'll just have a quick look to see what's happening. So where we did our initial right here, so I am going to delete this as we don't need it, which is them. So it's all of that. We don't need any of that. So I'm just going to call setup invader sprites at this point here. All right. So, oh, is this going to work? Let's have a look. This is where I've done something really weird. All right. Done something really weird. They are moving. Quite cool. Yes. Let's have a look. Oh, it's quite funny, actually. It's nice doing these things. So you can see What are you going wrong, Neil? All right, so let's have a look. So we got our the anim. Set anim. I'm going to set that to false. It doesn't move. Okay. Right. So we have our loop, which starts off at Y, and it starts off at 2050. Okay, is our position. So our Y, so it goes down between 0 and 5. So first of all, it's our Y of 0, and then we do 10 X positions at that Y coordinate. So here, our inspra is then will be at 2050. So that's okay. So we're doing our first sprite. We then do our next one, which is wrong. So it's not times, it's plus. Oh my lord, I apologize. I nearly didn't look right. So we want to add the X position times that. Let's try this. I have a funny feeling this might look considerably better. Oh yeah. And we've multiplied them by 3, and we haven't done, we are drawing, we have a look, 10 across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5 down, 1, 2, 3, there will be 5 there, 1, 2, 3, oh, we're doing 4, there might be a bit of a bug, so 2, 4, 6, 8, so it's 10 across, 1, 2, 3, 4, going down, alright, so less than 0, less than 5, okay, very weird. So, all right, I know why. It's drawing the 2 lines on the same because we're not incrementing our X pos. So, yeah, if this makes sense here. This point here, we're at 0. So it comes down, does the calculation again, and it's still at 0. So there's 2 ways of doing this. We could plus 1, so we get the right amount, or we could just add another 16. But I'm going to have a think about this and see if we can. So we're doing it there. So I'm going to, because that would already be done. So I'm going to move this. This is controversial stuff here. So let's just sort this out. So got that right. So I'm going to move it, and I'm going to do a comma, and we're going to do another calculation there. So we'll try that. So let's try this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to times that by 3. So it's 3248. And the other one, which we want to do, which we will be moving again, so that needs to be 18, 36, 46, 56, 54. Yeah, memory error. Alright, so let's try this. Alright, that's better. We have our 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 is 9. Why are they counting 10? Alright, I don't know why some are moving. We'll get to that one in a minute. Okay, so very, very good. So we need to do the same for our X position. We're moving this one and we're putting it in our for loop. You do multiple calculations at the end of the loop. So this one, what for loop does, just to remind you, initializing. So before it enters this loop, it will already have initialized the X pos. It then effectively says, all right, that condition is not met, so I'm going to do this loop. So it does the loop, and at the end of this loop here, when it gets to this point here, it then does this section, and you can have multiple additions and sums and stuff, which I've now done here. So I've effectively added two things. So what it's going to do, it's going to, in order from left to right, so it's going to do the XPOS, so it's going to make that increment, add 1 to it, and then it's going to calculate the invader position X, which will be 20, plus the XPOS, which we're now incremented, times 54, which will be our next position. So it then does the next position, loops round, and when it's looped round 10 times, it'll get to 11th and say, no, we don't need it. We don't need to do another one, Neil. We finish, and then finish. And then it will do a new Y position and do the Y. So it'll do a whole row of invaders, goes down, another whole row, and does that 5 times. So let's have a look here. All right, so we've got more invaders moving than there should be. They're the ones from here, actually, the first ones. Very interesting. It looks quite cool. All right, so it's all getting there. I don't know why they're moving. That's interesting. We'll sort that out. All right, so a little bit of a change around. We don't need to put this in the loop. So I'm going to move this out and put this up here. So it looks, so it's not continually creating it. There's no reason for it. You only need one. So it's that one there. Lovely. So we've got that. We're setting the thing to false and we're adding that. Isn't that a bit weird as to why we're getting invaders moving? Okay. So our speed is 0. Oh, I know why. Our speed is 0. So it's in the update, isn't it? So I'm having a look at the invader sprite and we're in our update. So it adds that. So if our X position is less than 10, we'll make the speed 1. If our X position is greater than 50, it makes it -1, which is this here, because it will be greater than 50, because it goes up to 504. So what I'm going to do, just for now, is I'm going to, if speed is not equal to 0, then it will assume it needs to do some speed calculations. So I'm going to just do that. Okay, so I'm going to, move this into here. A little bit of refactoring and take that out. So that makes that a little bit neater. All right. So in our update of Invader Sprite, I've done a little bit of reformatting around our calculation for our new position according to our speed. I've checked, and if it's not 0, it will do this bit. If it is 0, it's going to say, no, that condition is not met because it is 0, so it can't do this little bit of code. It skips it, so it won't actually change the position of the sprites. So I hope you followed me on that. The code's up there and the code is available. If you're getting lost, you can download the code from GitHub and have a look at your leisure, or post a question, say, Neil, you went a little bit too fast there, and I'll go over it again in an updated video for it. Okay, so we'll just rebuild that again. I've miscalculated on my X position. Okay, so we need to maybe sort that out. But we've got 5 rows. We've still got this little pinky chap here. And our next row down, they're 1 out. Okay. So, oh, right, I know why. Let's have a look here. So, in our classic base loop here, so we've got our invader sprite set to 20. So no, because it'll always print the last one. Yeah, because here, the only time the X position of our invader is set up here is I'm such a I need to just do this here. Yeah, we do need to initialize it. And I will do that here. Okay. And then I'll explain why. It only sets the invader position at the end of the loop. So when this condition is not met, when it's got to 10, it'll go down and goes to 0. But the X position is not at 20 where we want it. It's now at some incredibly high figure. So it will print in exactly the same place as the last one, which will be 560. At 560 pixels across, it prints another invader instead of printing it like the first one. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So we've now reset our X position at the start of each one. So when it goes around and does the Y position, recounts the Y position, it resets the X position to 20, and then just does the loop. So if we do this again, oh, it's hard work, isn't it? That's far better. So that is our invaders. They're too wide and too much of a gap, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So I'm going to find out where that little pinky dude is. Oh, I know where it is. It's here, isn't it? In our keep going, Neil. Here, just the sprite. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of this one. We don't need it. So we just got this. Run it again. And lovely. So what we need to do is I'll drop the invaders down a bit and reduce the gap quite a bit actually. All right. So we have loads of magic numbers, and I'm going to show you how to get rid of magic numbers. But at the moment, it doesn't matter. It's our first game. I will forgive you. So X was all right, but I want our Y position just to be down a little bit. So I'm going to make that 80. And the thing about magic numbers is you got to make sure you get all of them. We've only used it once. There. And here. Yeah. So we need to change it there for the initial position and the recalculating the position. And we want to, I would say, half this a little bit. I'm going to make it, say, 30. And this one, I'm going to make this one 32. Now make that 30 and the other one 28. So our Y position's going down 28 and our X position's going across 30. I reckon that's still too much. Right, well, we'll try this. So I've changed our increment for our new X position. I've reduced it to 30. And on the Y position, I've reduced that to 28. So we'll try that. So, oh, looking quite good actually. Maybe a bit more of a gap across, but the Y going down is very good. Lovely. Alrighty, so I'm going to make that 32. So we've got a bit of a gap for shooting. Run it again. It's a beauty about this. Yeah, looks good. Do we need a little bit more? A little bit more? I think we can be fussy enough. We can go 32, 34. And that should be good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. I think 10 by 5 by now would be quite cool. Okay, so before I finish, I'm going to refactor this function so it looks neater. All right, so I think we're fixed at 5 and 10, which is 5 rows of 10 lots of invaders, and our X and Y position are fixed, and also our width between them. So we need to pass these in so we can make our game more customizable. Is that a word? All right. So we need our int 32. So I am going to assume our width and so x position will always be, now I'm going to do floats. So it's float fx start, float fy start. So that's our x and y. We need int 32 width and int 32 height of our invader block, and we are going to have int 32 so we're going to have x increment, that'll do, and int 32 y increment. We know roughly what that is. So we're passing them parameters in. So now we can get rid of some of these magic numbers. So we can make this our fx start, but we also need to do here on our 20 when we calculate our new position. So I'll change this to fx start and this one to fx start. All the 20s to fx start. Lovely. So it's our x position. Anything linked to our invader x, we're just checking, and if it has 20, we're changing it to fx start. So our fy start is exactly the same, but it will be 80. So we've got our first one here, the fy start. Just copy that, and we'll go down. So our y position is changed here. So if I do that, I'm looking down, I think that is our only time we do our y position increment. Cool. Now we've got our width and height. So our width and height are linked to our for loops. So we've got here. So this will be our height, which is 5. We won't change that. And this one's our width of 10 invaders across. So if I do width, all right, lovely. And now when we change our position, we want to use our y increment here. Our y increment, you notice I've gone different with camel cases and all sorts of apologies. And our x increment here. And I think that's pretty cool. So we've got that, lovely. Okay, so I can think of one more thing we can do, which I will do, is, so that's fine. So what we do, we need to now call our new function, because while we're up here, it's got no parameters. So we need our, our fx start, which was 20.0 f, 80.0 f, our y position, our width and height. So I'm going to change these. So our width will be 16, and our height will make that 8. But our x increment, which was, if I remember rightly, 28? No, 36, wasn't it? 36, and our y increment's 28. You must remember what you delete. Alright, so that's looking good. Let's just quickly build this. Got one, oh, a lot better. Oh, wow, we've got more going on. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16 across by 2, 4, 6, 8 down. Lovely. That is a lot of invaders. Wow. Busy time shooting that lot. Alright. So that's pretty cool. And I'm going to do one more thing, which will be quite cool. I'm going to change the frame after each row. Now, our frame is our, when I say frame, it's our starting sprite. Now we've set our starting sprite as this rect, which goes to 1, 11, 15, 8. So it's 1, 11, it's 15 across and 8 down, which happens to be our first frame here. So it's our first invader. We do have another invader, which is here, which is the same rect. So, no, it's not. It's 1, 1 and 1, 11. This is going to the second sprite. Okay, right, I got you. So what we will do, we will reference our invader frames. So I do invader frames because it's only passing a rect. So, and this is an array. So invader frames, and we are referencing our spur start frame in here. Lovely. So this, our spur start frame is 0, and we want to effectively only do that frame for each row. So effectively, when I look, so I'll just explain this. Sorry, this is an array. An array, because you can see with the brackets here, it's an array, and it's an array of rectangles, and we are creating a new rectangle on our 2 rectangles in that array. So it's an array of 2 elements, and each element is a rectangle. We are referencing the first one, which happens to be 0 based, so we pass in a 0. If we want the second one, we pass in a 1. Lovely. So at the end of this row, what we want to do, I'm going to do this very basically. We want to increment our frame. So our spur start frame, we increment it. Now we want to check to see if it's bigger than our invader frames. So if our amount of invader frames, because we don't want to effectively it will error. It will say no, out of bounds on that array, and you don't want your game erroring. So we want if spur start frames is greater than or equal, because it's 0 based, and I will, let's have a look, invader frames, and I think it's length, which is the length of the array. Then we want to set it to 0. So we'll put brackets in. So we do spur start frame equals 0. Lovely. So that it will increment until it reaches the end of the number of frames and then resets to 0. As we only have 2 frames, it doesn't matter. It will go frame 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 as we're printing that. So let's have a quick look, and then I'll just quickly go over what I've done. So, okay, right, look, good. You can see the first frame, and there's a completely new frame. You hardly notice it. Another one, new frame. Another one, new frame. Lovely. All right, so I think we can start the animals now. So I do true there. So I'm starting our anim for each of our invader sprites. Look at that. They're all different. Oh, it hurts your eyes, doesn't it? Lovely. All going nice and fast. Oh, that's very cool. Might turn it off. All right. So just have a look, see if there's anything else we can tidy up. No, I think that's pretty cool for now. I have a funny feeling we could pass in our frames, but we don't need it because it's purely for Space Invaders. Everything else looks quite good. We got most of our stuff is correctly done. I will comment a few things. So this is change the sprite frame, the sprite image for the next row. Okay, next row of invaders. Okay, Oh, if I say okay again, just slap me. All right, so it's create. So at the top of the first for loop, I'm doing create. We'll use the, so it's height, rows of width invaders. This is a peculiar thing, but it saves me typing too much. So this is saying create, if we passed in 5 rows and we need each row to be 10, it's saying create 5 rows of 10 invaders. So I'm using the names of what's being passed in, because that's basically what it's doing. Okay, and in here, let's create the invader sprite. Okay, lovely. And then I'm just going to add this one in here. So it's add. We shouldn't really need to comment this, but it keeps it consistent. So add invader sprite to the manager. Lovely. Oops. All right, so it's create our invader sprite. We need to anim the invader and then add the invader to the manager. That will do that for the width going down. So we'll do it several times and then increment the Y and do that. So it all sort of makes sense. I don't think we need to do this. I'm not going to comment these. That's what I meant to say, because they sort of make sense. Add anims, and then I don't think we just add anims. We can leave that for now, because I think this is pretty solid. Pretty solid function there, Neil. All right, so that's looking a little bit neater. We could change our speed coming in, which I think we probably should extend on that. So I will do that as we develop the game. We will come back to this function and improve upon it. But for now, it's all looking quite good. I think that's the end of that video. It's just gone on far too long, but let's have a look. What have we got, ladies and gentlemen? It is looking good. All right, lovely. I think we might even change color every 2 rows, maybe. It'll look quite cool. And we might reduce the speed of the anim, but it's looking good. Thank you. If you like this video, do the like. Comments are great, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I will stop, and this will be under 50 minutes. Thank you.